Some trucks made such an impact on American highways that they stopped being just work machines and became true legends on wheels. Rare models, hard to find even in museums, and still today, they spark admiration from collectors and classic truck enthusiasts. Have you ever wondered which giants shaped the American trucking industry, and why some of them are nearly impossible to find today? Today, you're about to take a journey through the machines that made history. Rugged, powerful trucks with iconic designs and engines that still seem to roar like they're alive on the roads of the past. Ready to discover the 10 rarest and most legendary old American trucks of all time? Stick around. The first one will surprise you, but the last will absolutely blow your mind. International Harvester Loadstar. Launched in 1962 by International Harvester, the Loadstar was built to be tough and versatile, and it ended up becoming one of the longest-lasting trucks of its time. It made its name in rural areas, small towns, and even emergency services. It came with a 392 cubic inch V8 engine, roughly 6.4 liters, that produced about 197 horsepower, and more than 310 pound-feet of torque. It wasn't built for speed, topping out just over 60 miles per hour, but it is built to get the job done, and it did so reliably. The 5-speed manual transmission came with heavy-duty options that included auxiliary gears. It rode on leaf spring suspension, and most models were rear-wheel drive, although some 4x4 versions were produced for heavier applications. It was a no-frills truck, but its straightforward engineering made it dependable. With its long hood, narrow cab, and smooth lines, the Loadstar had a classic visual appeal. The deep rumble of its V8 was a familiar sound across American backroads and farmlands. Depending on the configuration, it had a gross vehicle weight rating of over 28,000 pounds. This truck served everywhere, on farms, factories, city streets, and even as a school bus. Its versatility made it popular, but very few units survived the decades in good shape, making fully restored Loadstars exceptionally rare today. It became legendary not for luxury, but for toughness. Veteran drivers still speak of it as the unstoppable workhorse that could handle anything. And believe it or not, some are still running in small towns today, as if time forgot them. Like this classic powerhouse? Then stay tuned, because the next truck on our list is all about bold looks and solid respect on the road. Western Star 4900. First hitting the road in the 1980s, the Western Star 4900 stood out for combining raw power, a commanding presence, and near hand-built craftsmanship. Made in the USA, it was assembled with meticulous attention to detail, giving it a unique personality even among heavy-duty giants. Over the years, it came with different engines, but one of the most legendary versions was powered by the Detroit diesel 8V92 V8, delivering 435 horsepower and more than 1,400 pound-feet of torque from 12.1 liters of displacement. With strong acceleration and a top speed of around 75 miles per hour, it was perfect for long hauls. It typically came with a 13-speed manual transmission, offering full control over steep grades and heavy loads. Suspension used parabolic leaf springs, and the drive was 6x4, custom-built for rugged environments and oversized trailers. Visually, the 4900 was a statement. Its squared-off fenders, chrome grille, and rectangular headlights gave it a bold and distinctive look. Inside, it was considered one of the most luxurious trucks of its time, with wood accents and analog dials giving it a cockpit feel. This model was widely used in logging, mining, and long-haul freight, especially by independent truckers who needed a reliable, customizable machine. It became legendary for how much you could personalize it, and rare because few trucks from that era survived with original configurations. Many were modified or parted out, making pristine 4900s garage gems today. And here's a fun fact. Some 4900s are still working today in remote parts of Alaska and Canada, proving just how tough these trucks really were. Impressed by the brute strength of the Western Star? Then get ready. The next one helped shape modern American trucking. White Freightliner. In the 1950s and 60s, the white Freightliner represented a turning point in American trucking. Born from a partnership between Freightliner and the classic White Motor Company, this line stood out for its design innovation and performance. With a flat front and cab-over configuration, the white Freightliner was revolutionary for maximizing space and payload. One of its most recognized versions featured the Detroit Diesel 6V71. A six-cylinder V-engine with 7 liters, producing 238 horsepower and around 630 pound-feet of torque. It wasn't the fastest, topping out at around 62 miles per hour, but it was built for durability and efficiency. It had a 10-speed manual transmission, great for handling long-distance routes with varying terrain. The suspension was leaf spring-based, and it was typically rear-wheel drive, though some versions were adapted for specific uses. Its compact layout made it easier to maneuver in tight urban areas, a major advantage at the time. Visually, it had a signature look with its square cab and exposed aluminum frame. The high-pitched hum of its two-stroke Detroit engine is still instantly recognizable to old-school drivers. This truck was heavily used in interstate shipping fleets, helping build the modern American freight network. Its impact is still visible today, with many cab-over designs drawing inspiration from it. The white Freightliner is rare because many were either scrapped or heavily modified over the years. Original models are highly sought after at vintage truck shows. Some restoration enthusiasts still hunt for original parts, which are now almost impossible to find. And here's something few people know. The white Freightliner was among the first trucks ever featured in American TV commercials, helping build its legacy beyond just the road. Think that was something? Just wait. The next truck combines raw power with one of the most aggressive designs ever built. Ford LTL 9000. Introduced by Ford in 1976, the LTL 9000 was the truck that put the Blue Oval in direct competition with the heavy hitters of the long-haul game. With its bold design, extended cab, and long hood, this model quickly became a symbol of power and style on American highways. One of its most famous setups included the Cummins NTC-400, a 14-liter inline-six engine producing 400 horsepower and over 1,475 pounds-feet of torque. That kind of strength made it ideal for hauling massive loads across thousands of miles, reaching top speeds over 75 miles per hour. It came with a 13-speed manual transmission, and in some versions, a twin-stick shift setup that required real skill behind the wheel. Suspension used reinforced semi-elliptic springs, and it usually featured twin rear axles for heavy-duty applications. Visually, the LTL 9000 meant business. The X-shaped chrome grille, recessed headlights, and oversized hood gave it a near-military stance. Inside, it was one of the most comfortable cabs of its time, offering padded seats, air conditioning, and a full analog dash. The truck became a favorite among owner-operators running coast-to-coast routes. Its durability and long-haul comfort made it a legend in its own right. Production ended in the 1990s, and surviving models are now rare, especially in stock condition. What made the LTL 9000 legendary was that it captured the spirit of a golden age, when trucks had real personality and raw mechanical power, free from electronics and computerized control. Many still refer to it as the toughest Ford ever built. And get this, one restored unit recently sold at a collector's auction for over $120,000, proving its lasting appeal. Impressed by the muscle of the Ford? Just wait, the next one came straight from the mines into trucking history. Autocar DC-100. Founded back in 1897, Autocar is one of the oldest commercial vehicle manufacturers in the US, and the DC-100, introduced in the 1960s, is a true example of that legacy. Designed for extreme duty applications, especially in construction and mining, the DC-100 was a beast built to thrive where most trucks wouldn't even try. It was equipped with the Cummins NH220, a 14-liter inline-six delivering around 220 horsepower and more than 735 pounds-feet of torque. Its top speed hovered around 55 miles per hour, but the real strength was in its consistent pulling power and rugged drivetrain. With a 10-speed manual transmission and short gear ratios, the DC-100 could climb steep grades fully loaded without hesitation. Suspension used reinforced leaf springs, and rear-wheel drive came standard. With some models built for off-road use featuring triple rear axles, its square body, thick bumpers, and boxy cab gave it a no-nonsense look. The roar of the Cummins engine could be heard echoing through quarries and dirt roads, a sign that the heavy work was getting done. The DC-100 was commonly used in infrastructure projects, rock hauling, mining operations, and even military service. It earned its legendary status for taking abuse in the harshest environments and still rolling strong. Finding one today in good condition is next to impossible. Most were scrapped after decades of hard use. The few survivors have been painstakingly restored by hardcore truck historians and collectors. In fact, one beautifully restored DC-100 was featured as the centerpiece at a U.S. engineering museum, a tribute to its industrial heritage and rugged charm. Enjoying this ride through America's trucking past? Then don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell, because every week we bring you new content featuring the world's most legendary machines. Now, buckle up, because the next truck has a name that few remember, but a story that's bound to surprise you. Diamond Rio. Diamond Rio made its mark in the 1960s and 70s, delivering trucks that were as tough as they were visually bold. One of the most memorable was the Diamond Rio C116, a model that became a symbol of durability in American heavy trucking and is now rare even at classic truck shows. This model often featured the Cummins NTC 350, a 14-liter inline-six pushing out 350 horsepower and over 1,100 pounds-feet of torque. It could cruise past 70 miles per hour, making cross-country hauls with a full load look easy. It came with a 13-speed manual transmission, a heavy-duty clutch, and tight-shifting gearbox, perfect for long hauls. Suspension used semi-elliptic springs, and it featured a 6x4 drivetrain, ideal for pulling doubles or triples with ease. The design was striking. Square lines, cut-out fenders, and a bold front grille made the C116 stand out. The Diamond Rio logo on the hood wasn't just a brand, it was a badge of honor. Inside, the cab was simple but functional, with elevated driving position and straightforward controls. This truck was a go-to for independent operators and mining companies that needed reliable, powerful machines. Its tough build and low-maintenance mechanics made it a popular choice for serious truckers. Diamond Rio trucks became rare after the company shut down in 1974, leaving behind only a handful of units still running today. Most were parted out or left to rust, and the few that remain are hot collector items. And here's a cool detail. One of these trucks was featured in the 1978 film Convoy, turning it into a symbol of the rebellious trucker culture of the time. Kenworth W900. Launched in 1961, the Kenworth W900 is, to this day, one of the most iconic trucks on the planet. Its long hood, timeless design, and commanding road presence made it a cultural symbol of American trucking. It stayed in production for decades, and for good reason. This is a living legend. One of the most sought-after versions featured the Cummins Big Cam 400, a 14-liter inline-six engine delivering 400 horsepower and over 1,475 pounds-feet of torque. It was powerful enough to cruise fully loaded above 75 miles per hour, with steady acceleration and tons of pulling power. Drivers loved its 18-speed manual transmission, especially experienced truckers who valued full control over the rig. Suspension often used Kenworth's Air Glide system, and the W900 usually came with 6x4 drive. Ready for serious long-haul loads. Visually, the W900 is a showstopper. The stretched hood, vertical chrome stacks, wide fenders, and iconic T-shaped grille give it a commanding, unmistakable presence. The low, deep rumble of the engine is a signature sound on American highways. The W900 was a favorite for heavy haul fleets and independent drivers, especially those who customize their rigs as personal statements. At truck shows, a W900, especially a classic version, always draws a crowd. What makes the older W900s rare today is how hard it is to find units in original condition. Most have been heavily modified over the years, so untouched models are in high demand among collectors. And yes, the W900 earned Hollywood fame too. It appeared in Lethal Weapon 2 and has been featured in countless American commercials and music videos. Thought the Kenworth was unbeatable? The next one might just be the ultimate classic truck of them all. Peterbilt 359. Launched in 1967, the Peterbilt 359 might just be the most beloved truck in American history. With its long nose, chrome finishes, and unmistakable silhouette, it became a favorite among owner-operators, filmmakers, and serious collectors. The 359 could be equipped with multiple engines, but one of the most powerful and desirable setups featured the Caterpillar 3408 V8. A massive 18-liter engine producing 450 horsepower and up to 1,620 pound-feet of torque. It was built to cross the country with brute force, even on the toughest routes. It came with a 15-speed manual transmission, offering smooth shifting and total control. With 6x4 drive and heavy-duty suspension, the 359 was made for demanding freight and long hours behind the wheel, and despite its size, it offered surprising comfort. Visually, it's a legend. The extended hood, dual vertical stacks, full chrome grille, and custom paint jobs are trademarks of the 359 culture. Today, it's hard to find a truck show in the US without at least one immaculately restored 359 stealing the spotlight. During the 70s and 80s, it became a trucking phenomenon, especially among drivers who saw their trucks as more than just tools. They were a symbol of freedom and power. That's why the 359 became a true cultural icon. It's considered rare because production ended in 1987, and many surviving models have been heavily altered. Original condition trucks are incredibly valuable today. And here's a cool detail. While Spielberg's classic film Duel used a Peterbilt 281, it was the 359 that later became the darling of Hollywood, appearing in dozens of films and TV shows. Blown away by the 359? Hold tight. The next two aren't just classics, they're the soul of American trucking history. Mack B61. Released in 1953, the Mack B61 is one of the most legendary trucks ever built by Mack. With its rounded fenders and the famous bulldog hood ornament, it became a symbol of toughness, reliability, and classic American style. Throughout its production years, it served in nearly every trucking sector, from construction to cross-country hauling. Its most iconic version used the Mack End 673, an 11-liter inline-six engine with 211 horsepower and about 790 pounds-feet of torque. While modest by today's standards, it had no trouble climbing hills with a full load at cruising speeds between 55 and 62 miles per hour. It was paired with a 10-speed manual transmission, often with a splitter gear for added control. Built on a rugged chassis, the B61 came with rear wheel or 6x4 drive, depending on the job. This thing was made to last, and many of them did for decades. Design-wise, it's pure vintage charm. Rounded body, headlamps tucked into the fenders, and the raised bulldog badge gave it an instantly recognizable style. The Mack engine's deep, steady growl could be heard long before the truck came into view. The B61 was used in mining, timber hauling, road building, and regional freight, gaining a reputation for being virtually unbreakable. Simple mechanics, a tough frame, and a no-nonsense attitude turned it into a rolling tank. Today, finding a B61 in original condition is extremely rare. Many were stripped down or retrofitted over time. The few remaining units are highly protected by collectors, especially in the US and Australia, where it also earned legendary status. The B61 is legendary not just for its durability, but because it helped define Mack's visual identity. The Bulldog mascot started with this truck and still represents the brand today. Fun fact, a beautifully restored B61 was featured in the opening ceremony of a trucking convention in Las Vegas, receiving a standing ovation like a true celebrity. And now, if you thought the B61 was the peak of classic trucking, wait until you meet a ghost from the past, rarer than all the rest. Brockway 361. At the very top of this list sits the Brockway 361, a truck many consider the holy grail of American classics. Built by Brockway Motor Company between the 1950s and 1977, this model is remembered for its craftsmanship, brute strength, and unforgettable look. What truly makes it special is the mix of history and rarity. Brockway shut down in 1977, and most of their trucks disappeared over time. The 361 could be fitted with various engines, but a standout version came with the Cummins NH250, a 14-liter inline-six producing around 250 horsepower and over 885 pounds-feet of torque. It wasn't about speed. It was about constant, reliable pulling power with top speeds near 62 miles per hour. It ran a 10-speed manual transmission with a tough and precise shift pattern. Suspension used heavy-duty leaf springs. And the 361 had 6x4 drive, built for construction, municipal work, and industrial routes. This truck had a commanding design, tall hood, squared-off lines, and a wide grille featuring the Brockway badge with pride. The cab was spacious for its time, with strong seats and a functional dash. Wherever it went, it drew attention. The 361 was a regular sight in city maintenance fleets, heavy material transport, and factory zones. Especially across the Northeast US, it built a reputation for being one of the most dependable trucks of its generation. But its rarity and legend come from Brockway's early closure and lack of aftermarket support. When the company shut down after disputes with Mack, its parent company, parts dried up, and restoring a 361 became a massive challenge. Still, every year in Cortland, New York, the town where Brockway was headquartered, there's a dedicated Brockway truck show. And when a running 361 rolls in, it's treated like a Hollywood A-lister. This is the kind of respect and reverence the 361 still commands. A true icon lost in time, and crowned here as the rarest and most legendary old-school American truck ever built. Throughout this video, we've traveled through a powerful, often forgotten chapter in American trucking history. We've seen giants made of steel, sweat, and soul, machines that survived the elements, technology shifts, and the brutal test of time. But these aren't just trucks, they're rolling legacies. They're symbols of an era when trucking wasn't just a job, it was a lifestyle. So tell me, which of these trucks did you find the most legendary? If you could restore one and keep it in your garage, which would you pick? And have you ever seen any of these rolling down the road back in the day? Drop your answers in the comments. Let's talk about the legends that built the backbone of American transportation. And hey, if you love this kind of content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. That's super important for the growth of the channel. It tells YouTube this content matters and helps it reach more fans of classic trucks and heavy machines like you. Stay tuned, because every week there's a new video featuring the machines that ruled the highways, the wilderness, the impossible terrains, and the hearts of gearheads everywhere. See you in the next video.